This is a story with a timeless theme, a people dispossessed, deep historic wounds, and still unresolved conflict. On one side, ongoing suffering and a desire for justice. On the other, a mixture of denial and guilt. This is 21st century Canada, and this is a story with a question mark. Is there a way forward? The arrival of European settlers imposed a new story on this landscape. The settlers imposed three kinds of control over native life: the reserve system of Indian lands, the Indian Act, and the residential school system.
I've heard it from so many sources that when South Africa was looking for precedents for establishing the apartheid system, that a delegation was sent to Canada and the Indian Act was studied extensively and used as a model for some of the apartheid legislation.
Indian agents, along with priests and police, went to the reserves and forced parents to send their children to residential school. The residential school system was a partnership between the churches and the state, and the cornerstone of assimilation policy. The intent, according to official documents, was to kill the Indian in the native child. The direct attack on native language and spirituality was pure cultural genocide.
I don't speak my language fluently, and my mother refused to teach me because she suffered horribly for speaking her language. And she's seen people get their heads shaved, needles put in their tongue, being forced to kneel for hours holding Bibles up for speaking their language. Because people don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about kids being sexually abused by a group of adults. No one wants to hear this, and they don't want to hear it, so they don't want to hear what happens to that individual.
I'd like to see some of the First Nations leaders look at it this way, that it was not all negative. And yes, that there may have been some losses as far as language skills and that sort of thing, but then think of the positives, think of the educational opportunities that they've had that they would not otherwise have had.
It's easy for you to say, get over it. It's so easy if you haven't been traumatized as a nation.
150,000 children were forcibly removed and sent to these schools. 40% of them died there as a result of cruelty or exposure to disease or attempting to run away. It was 1996 when the last school closed.